Hi there. Sometimes we just need a quick go-to when our mind is very busy, when we're starting to feel some sensations of anxiety in our body and our mind. And I want to share with you today this very simple concept of square breathing. So if you take your finger and you were to trace a square in the air, we would trace from one side along the bottom, straight up, across the top, and back down. So go ahead and try that. That's just the physical part of this practice. And I'll encourage you to do it physically right now while you're practicing. And then when you're in a public space, you maybe don't do the drawing with your hand, but are still able to visualize. So how we incorporate the breath with this is we start with our finger at the bottom here. We inhale along the bottom. Exhale as we're moving up. Inhale along the top. Exhale as we're moving down. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. Now, as you practice that a few times, you may begin to be aware of noticing if the breath is maybe shorter on the inhales and longer on the exhales, or long on the inhales and short on the exhales. And this practice can allow you to begin to balance out that breathing so that the inhale and the exhale are all equal length. Now, what that does is twofold. Number one, it gives the brain something to do. So if the mind is anxious, if the mind is spinning about thoughts, it's very helpful to give the mind a task. So that very balanced and focused and systematic breathing allows the mind to focus on something else than the thing that is causing you to spin. Secondly, you're bringing balance to the breath. And that actually begins to calm the nervous system down and bring you out of that heightened fight or flight place that you may have been in. Now, if that is something that feels really accessible for you, practice that. Practice that maybe 3 or 4 times a day. Practice that when you're not anxious. Practice that before bed. This is a great tool to teach to your kids. Once that begins to feel pretty accessible to you, then you can add a second part. And instead of inhaling, exhaling, you then begin to add little pauses. So inhaling, gently retaining that breath. Exhaling, gently retaining. Inhale, pause the breath. Exhale, pause the breath. For some of you, that may actually cause a little bit more anxious feelings, in which case, don't worry about those pauses in the breath. Just go back to the inhale, exhale pattern. But if it begins to feel okay for you, then simply allowing that pause to be really gentle. So it's not a gripping of breath. It's not a gasping of breath. It's just a gentle pause. So I inhale and I gently pause. And then I exhale and I gently pause. And with each part of the breath, we want there to be a gentleness. Again, no gripping, no grasping, just a smoothness of that breath. So play around with that with square breathing, either without the pauses or adding the pauses in. And after a few rounds of that, notice, do I feel more calm? Is my mind more settled? Am I feeling more present in my body? If, in fact, it feels like you're causing some more anxiety, then just don't do it. Take a step back and try it again in a few days and see if that's helpful for you. All right. Thanks. Take care. Talk to you again. Bye-bye.